Welcome everybody to the share. I think you guys have to welcome me. I think you guys have seen more than I am.
Welcome to your center.
Yeah. Actually, my kids are here more than I am. Everyone is. Just before we start, the share is in honor of the Tinek Ben and Naomi Alizo and Golda Leah Bas Hanum, friend of mine, that is mother.
And Lishmas, Ezra, and we're doing representing the bus.
Yeah. Oh, one sec. Yeah, for something. You put two of them out, just one.
One she just put.
Okay. So we're going to learn a little bit of the Maamer of the Maamer Basar Lagani. We'll do a little bit of a preface of what Basar Lagani is all about, and really what Yud Shevat is all about. Now we don't have all of it, which we did, so we'll do it a little short. So basically, before the Frierdiker passed away, the Shabbos before he passed away, the Shabbos that he passed away, for that Shabbos and for the preceding Yom Pagra, whether it was Pesach or Shavuos, Beis Nissen, he basically got them to print a series of Maamerim that were meant to be learned. Originally, people didn't know about this at the time. Originally, in the later years, the Frierdiker Rebbe wasn't able to speak really well, and so they would just reprint Maamerim. They would change the beginning of it in the end, and they'd reprint it. So this Basar Lagani, it's interesting, this Basar Lagani was actually said before, had a different beginning, and it was said the first time, I don't exactly remember what year, but it was the first time the Rebbe came and saw the Frierdiker Rebbe.
Can I ask them?
Yeah.
What was the point of like just changing the beginning and the ending? Like, was he trying to trick people that it's a new thing? Or?
So clearly not.
I know. I'm just trying to understand.
I guess I don't have a proper answer. I'll just say that the time period was different and it applied us differently. And as you see here, this is Basar Lagani. And I think over there it was one long Maamer, and now we have it divided up into, it's like 4 Maamerim. Maybe it was 2 Maamerim. We have a 4 Maamerim, and which is 20 chapters. And he gave it out. So the first Maamer was Basar Lagani, which was the first 5 chapters, and that was meant to be learned on that Shabbos. Yud Shevat is also the yahrzeit of, I think, the Frierdiker Rebbe's mother or grandmother. And then on Beis Nissen, there was also meant to be the Shoras Beganim, I think, was for Beis Nissen, and then those meant for Pesach and for Shavuos. And that's, he had like sort of planned ahead. And then suddenly the Chassidim come in the morning. They have all these, pamphlets to learn. And suddenly the Frierdiker Rebbe passed away. So that moment, they realized the Frierdiker Rebbe was sort of, this is what he was giving over to the Chassidim. And what the Rebbe did, the Rebbe took that Maamer, and every year on Yud Shevat would discuss it. Meaning, and he would go through it was a 20-year cycle. So the first year when the Rebbe became Rebbe, he went over the Maamer. So he would elaborate on a certain point. So he'd go through the chapters. So the first year the Rebbe went through the first chapter. And the second year the Rebbe would analyze the second chapter, and the third year and so on. So this year is the 10th year. So we're on chapter Yud, Parak Yud of the Maamer, which is the last parak of the second Maamer, technically. I don't want to get too much into it because it's interesting. And so basically, the Rebbe's Maamer, Basar Lagani, so the Rebbe went through a 20-year cycle in 1970. He finished the cycle, and then he started again. So he did nearly 2 cycles of going. And basically what he would do is he would just analyze the Maamer. So we're going to take one point of what the Rebbe analyzed and discuss it. but there's about 3 or 4 points in this Maamer the Rebbe analyzed from one chapter of the Friedrich Rebbe. It's very interesting. It's very in depth. It's a very hard Maamer in there, but it's very interesting. And this one is a very beautiful idea. When I saw it, I was like, it blew me away. So that's what we're going to learn part of one of them, and of course, as the name Living Chassidus, it's about living with it and figure out how we can apply it to ourselves. Because the whole purpose of Chassidus is to bring it down to something that's usable, that you can do something with. It's not meant just an idea, a subject, a thought, something that actually can use out to serve Hashem better, to connect ourselves more to Hashem. And if we don't do that, then we just wasted our time. I don't know, waste our time. We could do a lot worse things, but that's what it's for. So just before we start, so as you see here, I printed out the copies. We're going to do the second chapter. The Rebbe would always, the first chapter, always the Bas Lagani Maamer started with the words Bas Lagani, and he would summarize basically one chapter, all the chapters until the chapter that he's up to. So now after chapter 10, so he would, so to speak, summarize from 1 to 9. And then the Rebbe would start, and you'll see it, he goes, and he continues on in the Maamer on the 10th chapter, and that's the chapter that he's talking about for this year. So we're going now, I think, in the 4th time around. 1970, then 1990, and 2010, and we're starting the 4th cycle. So, and as you see, we have this little piece of paper from Safta Gittin, which is part of what the Maamer talks about. And I think maybe we'll go with it in the beginning, and then later you'll find out how it connects back in. And just before we start, I just want to make sure I didn't, Yeah, so just the last thing, I want to ask a question before we start. What do when we say a word, we have to understand what it means. So what does humility mean? How would we define humility? Yeah.
You don't think you're better than everybody else?
Yeah, everyone agree, I think? Anything more than that? Just humble means you don't think you're better than anyone else? Does that mean you think you're worse than everyone else?
No.
Just don't throw yourself like out there. You're more humbly, more like, I don't know what the word thinking of.
Would humility be like a person being very shy?
I don't think so. The way I've heard it expressed is like you appreciate the things that you've been, like the talents you've been given by Hashem, and like you say like, oh, if somebody else had them, they could do as great as I'm doing, maybe even better.
Very good. You know who said that?
Weiss.
Excellent. Yeah. Moshe. They say Moshe is Anam Mikal Adam, is the most humble of people. And he said, and they said, what was so humble about him? He said he knew his mileage, he knew how great he was, but he said, I was given this talent, that if someone was in my situation, maybe you'd even be able to do even better. And it says the Chassidim back in the day were very quiet and humble. I actually read a story today, that there was a Chassid, Rabbi Reichik, that he lived in California for many years, and he was a real Chassid, very humble. And he said, it's a very interesting story. So when he went out to California, the Friedrich Rebbe told him before he left, he said, I have a favor to ask you that I need you to fulfill. And he's like, yeah, okay, whatever you ask. So he said, when you go to a shul, because this was in the 40s by the Friedrich Rebbe. So when you go to a shul, you go to some place. It wasn't like now you're going to open up a Chabad house and then you're going to have C-teens and C-kids and all these programs. He didn't have anything. So his job was to strengthen Judaism. So I don't know if you had a shul for many of you ever. And so he said, when you go to a place, also he went around America spreading Judaism. So he said, when you go to a shul, you should always go sit in the Mizrach, in the west, in the east, like in the front of the shul in the east, which is normally the place for the important people. And because he goes, I know that you're going to want to sit in the back, no one's going to notice you, but we need you to be out front, being a little noticeable. And so it says at one time he went somewhere with some bach and went on America shluchas, go in the summer to go to help out strengthen. So he said to him, I'm going to do something that's a little funny, but I'm going to do it. Just relax. And so he came to the shul and he went to stand in the front. And they looked and didn't understand. And so they realized it must be that the Frierdiker told them to. So the Rav said, I know a Reichik, and he's a very humble person. What's the story with him being in the front? So they said, must be the Frierdiker told him you should go in the front. So one of the things we're going to discuss in the Maamer is a topic that a lot of people they get confused. Chassidus, and for me, many years, I was confused about this. What does it mean? How does Chassidus look at us? How do we look at ourselves? And how should we look at ourselves? What's the right way, what's the wrong way? What is Chassidus's perspective on us? And what is, one of these words that we use a lot is called bittul. What does that mean? What does it mean to be bottle? So before we start, let's read this from the Masechta Gittin, a little story, interesting story. It's a famous story. It's a story about Kamtzon Bar Kamtzon. Anyone know the story?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the story. Anyone else want to read? Well, I should read. I guess I should probably read. I have the microphone. So what happens? So you see here, right? Just this page, very simple. So the host says to him, so it's Kamtzon. He goes, you must leave. So Bar Kamtzon says to him, I'll give you money for half of the feast. Just don't send me away. It's embarrassing. So the host said to him, no, you must leave. Bar Kamtzon then said to him, I will give you money for the entire feast. Meaning he's paying for everything. So he said, just let me stay. Meaning, not so I shouldn't be embarrassed. There's a huge party going on. And he's like, get out. And it's very embarrassing. He's like, listen, I'll pay for it. Just don't embarrass me. So the host said to him, no, you must leave. So finally, the host took Bar Kamtzon by his hand, stood him up, and took him out. Imagine, at a wedding, and, some guy's like, listen, it's a mistake, whatever. I'll pay for your whole wedding. Just don't embarrass me. And he's like, I hate you so much. Leave. I'd rather have to pay for the wedding.
Wait, why did he show up there?
Because he wasn't meant to be invited. The servant told to invite Kamtzon, he invited Bar Kamtzon. He made a mistake.
Oh.
So he invited the wrong person. So he came in, he's like, it's not my friend, you invited my enemy. So when he saw him there, he's like, what are you doing? He's like, get out. So he says, I understand this is a mistake, just let me stay. I don't want to be embarrassed. He said, no. So he said, I'll pay half of the fee. No, he kicked him out. So after he gets kicked out, the Bar Kamtzon says, since the sages were sitting there and did not protest the actions of the host, although they saw how he humiliated me, so learn from it that they were content with what he did. Meaning, he's there and he sees all these Rabbanim and they're not doing anything. They agree to this. And he was very hurt by it. So he goes, I'll therefore go and inform against them to the king. He went and said to the emperor, the Jews have rebelled against you. The emperor said to him, who says that this is the case? So he says, go, I'll show you. Send them an offering, brought in honor of the government, to see whether they will sacrifice it. Bring a carbon, let's see what they do. So he says, okay, fine. So the emperor went and he get a choice 3-year-old calf. While Bar Kamtzon was coming with the calf to the Beis Hamikdash, he made a blemish on it, on the upper lip. And some say it was on the eyelid, a place where according to halacha, it's a blemish. But according to them, Gentile rule that for their offering is not a blemish. Meaning, inside halacha, it's an issue, but if they're sacrificing to their idols, it wouldn't be a problem. So then for Bar Kamtzon, they brought the animal to the Beis Hamikdash. The Kohen, he didn't want to sacrifice it. He didn't want to bring it on because it's a blemish. But also he couldn't explain, what is he going to explain to the ruler, the emperor, that we can't bring it up. So they didn't know what to do. So the blemish, notwithstanding, the sages thought to sacrifice the animal as an offering due to the imperative to maintain peace with the government. They said, listen, let's just bring it up as a carbon, safer that way. We don't want to get into trouble, it could be problematic, which ultimately was. So Rabbi Zechariah ben Avkalas said to them, if the priests do that, then people will say the blemished animal may be sacrificed as an offering in the altar. So he comes and says, if you're going to bring it up, people are going to say you can bring things that aren't 100% kosher. So you can't do it. So the sages said, if we don't sacrifice it, then we must prevent Bar Kamtzon from reporting to the emperor. So if we're not going to bring it off, so make sure Bar Kamtzon doesn't go back, because then we'll get in trouble. So he said, yes, because the sages thought to kill him, so he wouldn't go and speak against him. Zechariah said to them, see, he goes, oh, 1 second, if you're going to kill him, people say if you bring a carbon with a blemish, then you get killed. So he kept on arguing with them. So what did they do in the end? The result, they did nothing. Rakam's slander was accepted by the authorities. They didn't bring it up. They didn't know what to do. They couldn't bring it up because Rav Zachariah said you shouldn't bring it up. They couldn't stop Rakam's from going because you said you can't do that. So he ended up going back and say, look, you see, they're rebelling against you. And then it ended up, consequently, the war between the Yidden and the Romans began. Rav Yochanan says, the excessive humility of Rav Zachariah ben Avkalas destroyed the base of Mikdash and burnt the sanctuary and exiled us from our land. So it says, he's another, because he was so humble. So that's what it says. So we'll put that to the side now, and we'll learn a little bit, and we'll come back and we'll see how to analyze this. So we're starting from the second ice, which is starting to discuss this, the 10th chapter of the Friedrich's Maamer, from base. So the Friedrich Rebbe continues on in his Maamer. This is what the Rebbe is speaking. In the 10th chapter, let's go to the brackets. And this is his language of the Friedrich Rebbe. And this is what it means. You should make for me a sanctuary and I should dwell within them. So it says you should make for me a sanctuary, meaning a mishkan, a base of mikdash. I should dwell in them. In them is a plural word. So if you're making how many bases of mikdash are there? There's only one mishkan. So why are we saying in plural? So it explains in Truma. So it explains it's because it's not talking about the Mishkan itself, but it's talking about the Mishkan within each and every one of us. So we all have a Mishkan, meaning, like he explains, that within every single one of us, when we transform from darkness to light, you cause that the Yikar of the Eibishter, the specialness of God, like the main, like the essence of God, be spread out in all worlds. So what does that mean? This is sort of one of the things about learning Chassidus. We have to not just translate, to think about it. So we're saying that we all have within us a base of Mikdash. And what does it mean? Hashem says, you should make me a base of Mikdash and I should dwell within it. Meaning, and we're talking within all of us. What does it make? What's a base of Mikdash? It's a holy place, a place with all this Kedusha. A place where God rests. So we should have that within ourselves. We should try to make that within. How do we make that? Anyone?
Maybe try to act in holy ways and like do what Hashem wants.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what he explains, that when every single person, he transforms from darkness to light, because that the essence of God is spread out in all worlds. What does it mean? What does it mean, do what God wants? So there's the simple things of Torah mitzvahs, but let's go a little deeper. What is deeper than that? Is taking care of ourselves. We don't sit there all day davening and learning. We go to work a lot of the time. We have to go to the supermarket. You got to talk with your friends. You can have conversations that are good conversations, positive conversations, that bring more light. You can have conversations just nothing. It don't mean anything. When you go buy food, you can make choices of buying food based off what's healthy for you and what's going to help you get up in the morning and daven and learn and be nice to people, or they're just buying food that tastes good and it's enjoyable. And these are all different levels. Meaning, I don't like when people just say like Torah mitzvahs. Torah mitzvahs is very generalized and it doesn't mean anything. It means whatever. But like, there's more to our lives. Our lives aren't just davening and learning. And what he's saying here, when we transform ourselves, when we start to analyze our lives and analyze our choices that we make, why did I get up? Why did I go to bed late? Why did I wake up late? Or how can I make myself get up earlier? How can I make sure that I'm nicer to my friends? Or how can I make sure to care about my friends? What's going on in my friends' lives? When you do that, you're transforming the darkness into light. Meaning, am I a light? Am I shining? Am I shining to myself? And also within ourselves. Am I being nice to myself and taking care of myself? I used to have many years, I have a lot less now, but like struggles to go to bed on time. I think everyone, it's like one of these general problems, don't go to bed on time. And so we don't think to ourselves that's Torah mitzvahs, but it affects so much of our day. If you have a good sleep, you can be nicer to people, and you can daven better, and you can learn better, and you can have a better day at work. It's also being at work and serving, serve God properly at work. So he's saying and what happens when we do that? This is also the beauty of it. When you do that, you cause godliness to spread out in the whole world. Yeah? Meaning, when you make sure to go to bed on time so you can get up in the morning on time, so you can daven before you go to work, you've affected a change, not just within yourself, but you've affected a change in the whole world. And that applies to everything, not just going to bed, but it applies making the right choices in your life. Think to yourself before you act. What am I doing? Why am I doing it? Is this beneficial for me? Is it beneficial for the people around me? And things like that. When you do that you become light, you bring light into the world, and you carry the preciousness of God to be spread out in all worlds. And really he's talking about, in the moment, God's essence. So you bring out God's essence. Why? By making simple, good choices. And he continues on the Fidik. This is what the Fidik Rebbe. The Rebbe hasn't even added anything yet. He continues on the Fidik Rebbe. This is what it means. I've come to my garden, to my bridal chamber. To the place where I was in the beginning. Meaning in the beginning, he explains, in the beginning, what does it mean in the beginning? It's talking about in the beginning of creation of all the worlds. Hashem's desire in creating the worlds, Hashem wants to create the worlds in order that he should be able to be here with us. When we say to ourselves, I want to have God in my life, and I make those choices, you're fulfilling the purpose of creation. Think about that. It's just like, wow. Just by saying to myself, I want God, I want to have a true relationship with God. And when we try that, and when we do those things, you're causing the fulfillment of the reason why the world was brought into, why God created the world in the first place. Welcome. Yes, that's the first thing we learned. First thing we learned is that we often make ourselves into a base of Mikdash. What does that mean? It doesn't just mean doing Torah mitzvahs, which it is, but it means asking ourselves, what are we doing, and analyzing ourselves. Could we be doing better? Could we be doing, where could we fix? Where things could change? And are we adding light? Are we being a light amongst the people around us or not? And when we do that, we bring godliness into this world. Yeah.
So
the more questions, the better. Yeah.
Okay, so Ghani is described as a place where Hashem wants to be very comfortable, right? But does that mean that he's uncomfortable in this world now, and he, through us doing Torah mitzvahs, he'll be more comfortable? Is that what it's like? Anyone have an answer to this question? It's a good question. Anyone, anything? So explain your question again. You're saying. So, Basi Lagani, where does the actual pasuk come from? It comes from
Shira.
So it's like a parable for Hashem, Hashem's relationship with Bnei Yisrael. So he's saying I came to my garden, and I think some Medrash explains that my garden, it means the place where Hashem is very comfortable. So I'm kind of asking does that mean that Hashem isn't comfortable in the world now? He's more comfortable in I don't know, I don't even know where, but and through doing this was he'll become more comfortable.
Very good. So what he explains actually in the first paragraph, which is also the beginning of the Fidik of his Maamer, is that in the beginning God created the world, Adam and Chava were there, and everything was good. God was there, it was comfortable. Just like we're comfortable at home, or some of us might not have a home, we're in our rooms or our apartments, we're comfortable. God was there and comfortable. What happened? Adam did an Avera, and it caused God to feel uncomfortable. And he was I can't be here. And those 7 levels of Averis, and there's the Mabul, and it goes all the way up until comes Avram. And so at that point, God is, so to speak, 7 heavens up, means God doesn't feel comfortable at all here. He doesn't want to, it's really awkward. It's like being in someone else's house. You know, sometimes you stay at someone's house, and just like it's a very uncomfortable feeling. That's how God feels over here. And through Abraham, and it keeps on going down until Moshe, and that's one of the things he says in the Maamer, in the Fidik quotes, he goes, Moshe brings down God, the Ikeshchen, meaning God's essence, back here. So what's happening? So when we do the right thing, we're making God feel comfortable. It's like you have someone, in the best examples, like you have guests over at your house. You can do things that make them feel comfortable. You can do things that make them feel uncomfortable. You can ignore them. You know, when I was a kid, I went to my friend's place. It's an interesting house. His parents going through issues, and literally I came there, and he just like was like 10, 11 o'clock, and I was a little kid, you know, by that stage, half my day was there. I come over and he's just eating breakfast. He was eating like cereal by himself, like started eating and reading some comic, and I'm just sitting there, I didn't know what to do. And he says like, your friend's here. I'm like, you know, do something with him. So he's like, oh, you want some cereal? I'm like, no, I already had breakfast. And he's like, he just kept on going, reading his magazine. And it was like so awkward. So that's how God feels. And what our job, it's sort of gone down all the way to the 6th, and our job is to bring it all the way back down. So God is feeling pretty comfortable, but we want to make him feel really comfortable. And you have to think about it in terms of ourselves. We feel comfortable in our own place. We can put our feet up. You know, there's a certain thing that when you're in your own home, you feel that comfortability, sort of what God wants to feel. When you have a guest, you know, you want a guest to feel comfortable in your home. That's sort of what we're trying to do. And how do we do that? Is by doing Torah mitzvahs, being friendly with each other, obviously Yisrael, and things like this, and making right decisions. You know, because if we're trying to be in a relationship with God, so a relationship is always, it's like in a marriage. You know, and also like Sharon is based off of marriage. A marriage is not like, there's my time and then there's marriage time. You know, I can't say, listen, my wife, I'm taking a break. I'll see you in a day. I'm just doing my own thing. Like, I'm going to pretend I'm not married anymore. Just relax. It doesn't work that way. And so too with our relationship with God. God wants to have a relationship, and you'll see how beautiful and how much he cares to be in a relationship with us. We'll skip the next paragraph, just because I don't want it to like sidetrack. But basically what he says over there is that this language that the Fidik Rebbe uses, and that's sort of the Rebbe style to speak, the language that the Fidik Rebbe uses of Nisave, that Hashem had a desire to make different Tachtonim, he's saying this desire is very from the deepest source. Because there's different opinions on why Hashem created the world. So he's saying the desire for Hashem to create is not a logical thing. There's two other reasons. One is because the Teva Tov Hativ, the nature of good is to do good, and one is to show his ability. Hashem is Kechesav, to show that he can do these things. But they're all like logic. But really, what the Maamer is showing us is that the reason why Hashem created the world is because he has a desire. And desire is not a logical thing. And like he says, and he has quotes from the Yiddish, from the Alter Rebbe, he says, Eif HaTaiva is Kain Kasha. When you have a desire, there's no question. It's not logic. You have a desire for something, it's not logical. I desire, I like chocolate. There's no logic. Oh, you know, because it just tastes so good. You desire, you like it, that's it. It's not logical. So God's for desire to create the world, you can move it. So God's desire to create the world is a very high level. And this is sort of what he's showing in that second paragraph. So I don't want to get into it, because I want to get into the next one. So the Rebbe says, this will be understood, this concept will be understood by explaining an idea of the Baal Shem Tov. And this is what I want to talk about. It's a beautiful, beautiful idea. To understand the 10th chapter of the Fidik Maamer will be understood better by understanding our Peter's Baal Shem Tov, a teaching of the Baal Shem Tov. This is what the Baal Shem Tov says. That from the abundant humility of a person, it causes him to distance himself from serving Hashem. If the person has too much humility, it pushes him away from serving Hashem. Now, seemingly, why would humility be pushing us? I think wouldn't humility be together with God? You know, Moshe was very humble.
Sometimes it's like fake humility, like
Oh, yeah.
You're being humble to like make yourself look good.
Any other? Yes, very good. Any other ideas of how being humble would push you away from serving God?
Well, I have a friend
Yeah.
who she's like embarrassed to like give over like to teach kind of, because like she thinks like, oh, I'm not good enough, but like I think she really believes she's not good enough, but like I know that she is like, very smart and very good at teaching, but because she has like this complex about herself, like it's preventing her from like helping other people.
Very good. Yeah. Anyone else having any ideas of why would humility be a deterrent to serving God? Do we feel that we serve God well, or it could be improved? Improved. And so what if we'd have to pinpoint the number one thing that's stopping us? What would we think? What would we say?
Stopping us from improvement?
From serving God. We all realize that we're not serving God well. Well, we could improve. What's holding us back? What does that mean? Yes, what does that mean, galus? What do you mean we say galus?
You get like caught up in like all the materialistic things, like you lose focus of like the real
Distracted by day-to-day life. So we don't prioritize it.
Yeah, very good. So what we're saying is we feel that we just get distracted. So listen, so this is what the Baal Shem Tov says. Shemitzad shiflusei, that because of his lowness, Eino Maamer, he doesn't believe ki Adam, because the person that through his davening and through his learning, shefa el kol ha'ilmish. He doesn't believe that when he davens and he learns, he draws down abundance to the world. The gam, and also hamalachim nizunin al yidei teras tefillah, and also the angels are sustained through his Torah and through his tefillah. So what is his problem? What does it mean, too much humility? Is he thinks, and we think, that what we do doesn't matter, doesn't make a difference, doesn't really do anything. We all said that problem is we get distracted. But Baal Shem Tov is saying the problem is not necessarily you get distracted as much as you don't think the davening and learning actually means anything. And this he explains, because if he would really believe that what he davens and he learns, it affects all the worlds, and angels are sustained from him. How much would his service of Hashem be with happiness and with yira, with awe, be curve with this abundance, and etc. The Gam lost his leiv el mashnem, and also put his heart what it says. Im tishkavun bein safasayim. The Baal Shem Tov explains what does it mean if you dwell between. Safasayim is like meant to be. I think it's really talking about mountains, but safasayim is the lips. Meaning, Shakadosh Baruch Hu, that Hashem, Shemer v'Sheked, he guards and he waits, al sfas Adam, by the lips of a person, the nashka, to kiss him. Kishahu Eimer Teretzuah, when you're all davening and learning, God is sitting next to you and he's kissing you. It's a very intimate moment, and God's like, he's so excited. Mi zehu ha'ish, and what person, asher lo yachzenu, Rasasa, Vizia, you wouldn't be like and sweating and like shaking. Shamelech Gadol, that a great king, not even talking about God. Just imagine a great king standing next to you, and he's waiting for you to do the right thing and wants to give you a hug. Sheme v'sheked al sfasayim shalad, and he's standing by your lips, waiting to hear you. And when you daven and you learn, he kisses you. He's like, I love you, and he gives you this huge embrace. That's what really happens. The problem is our humility. We don't believe. We don't think about this at all. It doesn't. What I does really matter. And therefore, Tarich Adam Lasum Leiv. The person has to put to his heart, and we have to internalize. V'leiman, to say, Kol Tnu Esav. All our, like literally Tnu is like a turn. Like all our moves, everything that we do, Baskov and our dealings, with people and at work, the dibur and what we say, it has an effect. We have to appreciate and if there's one thing we take out from this class, we have to appreciate what we do has an infinite effect. And the rest of our lives, just got to try to internalize that concept. Because if we would appreciate the effect, the reality of what we actually are accomplishing, then we would be gold. The problem is we think it doesn't. What I really did, said a bracha. Okay, I said a bracha. But what are you saying? When you say a bracha, God is sitting next to you and He's kissing you. He's like, thank you, and He's embracing you with love, and the angels are being sustained by your bracha, and not just one bracha. I don't know, davening and learning and being nice and obvious.
But how do you come to that realization? Like, how do you really believe that? Like,
That's exactly the problem. You're exactly saying the problem. That's what he's saying. The problem is we don't believe it.
yeah, so how do like
By-
you know it, but then it's another thing if we really believe it that we're gonna like
So
put all our desires and physical needs aside to be like, there's something. Like you have to really believe it in order to overcome all of our physical.
good. So you're saying that this is a nice idea, but so how do I actually bring that in?
Yeah, like practically speaking, when you're tired, you don't want to wake up early to daven because you're tired. Like you don't see the effect. You believe there is effect, but you don't really. So how do we? You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, it's a good question. No, so what do you guys think?
Daven.
daven.
No, because like they say that davening helps like internalize things that you like know intellectually.
But how do you make yourself just? No, we're doubting, but like sometimes if you're tired, you're gonna. It's not even the fact. Oh, Hashem is giving me a kiss. I'm not. It's like okay, yeah, like.
It's good.
But you know, like I was saying, like it's not like they always say, like in life in general, if you don't really believe something works, then you're never gonna do it. Like they say, like even like eating healthy or dieting, I heard like exercising. They'll be like, if you don't really believe it, you're never your whole life you're just gonna be challenging and always doing it. You have to really believe something is going to work in order to really put your heart to it. So I'm saying like the fact is you really have to believe that this. So I'm wondering how do we come to that belief?
Kind of like a, I don't know how to describe it, like a cycle, right? So if you don't think exercising really helps you, but then you never exercise, then you're not going to see the result of how exercise really helps you. It's kind of the same with like davening. It kind of goes back to what you're saying at first, like taking care of yourself. Like you wouldn't be tired of davening in the morning if you went to bed, if you made the decision to go to bed on time and take care of yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So like the less you exercise, the less you believe that exercise is good for you, or the less that you'll make an effort to exercise. But the more that you exercise, you'll feel good, and the more effort you'll make to exercise. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a.
Right. I believe it to a certain extent, but I don't always see it as I know when I exercise I feel good. When I daven, some days I feel like, wow, this is a great daven. Some days I'm like I feel like my whole brain is distracted all the time. So I don't see the results so much with that. Like it's not a physical thing. Like it's not the same. I understand like that idea, but I don't know somehow. And also like it's much more a challenge because it's constantly like something that is like we're opposing sides. Like constantly there's physical things in the way. Like anytime, you know. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, that like makes.
It's a challenge, but I really think like the more I daven, like the better I feel about davening. You know what I mean? When I skip or whatever, or other things get in the way, the less I'm conscious about making the room for it, and the less positive effects it has on me.
And when you make like a hachlata, like a concrete hachlata, it kind of like keeps in mind, like, oh, I made this hachlata so I can remember X, Y, and Z. But like, it would like keep it in mind more, like, oh, if you say, oh, I'm gonna make a hachlata that every day when I'm done, I'm gonna say Shema Yisrael with extra kavan or whatever, like, you know, so I'll remember, oh, you know, Hashem is God in all the four corners of the seven world. Like every day, like you'll be reminded of it. Like it's not necessarily going to be so inspiring, but you would have it in your head all the time.
It's also another aspect to add to this is it seems like what we're discussing, and I thought this for a long time before I read this. I felt I looked at it a little differently. This sort of changed my perspective. Are we saying we will feel better? Is that the idea?
No.
Not necessarily. His focus is not. Listen, I should daven more kavanah because I'll feel better. He's nothing to understand how you feel. He's saying our problem is we don't appreciate what we're achieving, and it's sort of where we're being over humble in not recognizing what we achieve. It's like a simple example, like someone tells you, you did such a good job, and you say, oh no, what wasn't that good? You're putting down what you're accomplishing, and what ends up happening, it makes things a lot harder. And it's not necessarily about how you feel, but the first step is like we just learned, and I think for a lot of us, like, whoa, I didn't know that's what happens. So the first thing but it's funny because Pastor Lagani and all the Pastor Laganis talk about this. So the first step is to recognize that when we do a mitzvah, we daven, we learn any type of mitzvah, obviously Yisrael, helping someone, Kaddish Hashem, everything you can find in all the little ones, giving tzedakah, the impact that it has on the world is huge. Do I see it? Unfortunately, maybe not yet. But the first step is to realize that it's happening. Meaning, I think we all we all know that it's true. If it says it in the books, it's true. Do I see it? I'm not fortunate enough yet to see it, but I know it's true. So the first step is to say, hey, before I say a bracha, let's say, I say, when I'm saying this bracha, I am having an effect I'm making an effect in the world. And then you think to yourself, God is super happy right now, and he's here next to me wanting to kiss me. I think that inspires us. That's also if it doesn't, maybe, there's a lot of undercurrent of issues. It could be that, like, I don't even know, like what does that mean? God is here, kiss me. What does that mean? I don't know. So there could be a lot of other stuff we have to figure out. But it's a good start. It's a good, wow. But we're still stuck at the question. So what do we do about it? So I think one is just to think about it. That's also a lot of Chassidus that, I find I categorize Chassidus in sort of two types. There's one is that it gives you a practical avodah, something to actually do, like iskafia, make sure to go to bed on time, so be able to wake up. And there's other ones is things to think about. And this is an example of something to think about. It's not about, I'm not going to do anything different as much as I'm going to think differently. Now when I come to say a bracha, I come to daven, I want to think about it. I'm like, oh wow, this is interesting. Angels are being affected, the whole world, all these worlds that I read about. And every time you learn about that world in Chassidus somewhere else, you read something about it, it paints the picture a little more and adds more colors to it. And you're like, wow, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. So that's what we're achieving. Mash'en came, it's like 2.5 lines from the bottom of that paragraph on page Tezvav. Mash'en came, which is not so. When a person thinks to himself, Ma'ani sfun lefanim, like who am I? That what I do makes a difference. I'm making an effect above in the high world or the low world. Meaning, when I make a bracha, what does that change at all? When a person thinks this way, then they cause him to go in there. He goes after his heart's desires. And this is me'ein shamar, it's similar to what the rabbi said. The humility of Rav Zachariah caused the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. Quoting this Gittin we talked about. Meaning, I still didn't figure out exactly how it worked, but what happened? He was being, you have to do this, and you're just destroying everything, being over harsh on ourselves.
How is he being humble though? It seemed like he was just trying to be very strict according to the letter of the law. We don't want people to think.
That's why it says me'ein. It's similar. Meaning they were trying to find, there's some people trying to find problems, some trying to find solutions. So they were trying to figure out solutions to the problem. He was just finding more problems. And he says, I can't tell you. And this is all from the Baal Shem Tov. It's not even the Rebbe's thing. So we learned something from the Baal Shem Tov. And the Baal Shem Tov showed us this path to fulfillment in Torah mitzvahs. We just realize what we're achieving. And one of the things I had a discussion with my son, Levik, he's a very mature kid, 6 years old, 6.5, nearly 7. So I think we're talking about this, we're talking about something, and I said to him, how, one of the things we have a book here probably, it's the Rebbe, it's a book about the Rebbe on Chinuch. The Rebbe talks about when a kid plays, like has a break and he goes play sport or whatever it is, he should understand that the only reason why he's doing this is because he's taking a break from learning. So when I first read that, I was like, that's intense. But as I go along and I learn more and I guess more mature, so I appreciated that. So I'm trying to figure out a way how to explain to him and also not turn him off. You don't want him to be like too intense. So I said to him, I said, we play because we need to have energy to be able to learn. We can't learn all the time, we get tired, so we need to be able to play. I said, but even when we play, because it says, when a person does this, everything that he does, also like in his mundane things, he'll be connected with God. So I said, how can you do that when you're playing? So he said, when you play, because when you play, you can be nice to a person. So I said to him, so what in my mind, what that was doing is saying there's playing, and then there's how do I make the playing kedusha? How do I make this holy? It's not really holy. But I said to him, but you can also do it that you're playing now because you need a break from learning, you're tired, so you need a break, you need to sort of zone out. So now you get to play. So now what happens, the playing becomes a holy thing. I'm doing a holy thing by playing now. Why? Because I'm playing in order that I can learn better later. Whereas if I wouldn't play and I try to learn more, I'd just burn myself out, and I couldn't. And that's sort of what's happening here. He's saying, when you realize that, then everything you do can become special. So just, when you eat in a holy way, you're causing this effect. And everything that you do, everything that we do in our lives can be infused with this thought. As long as we just need to be a little more conscious of what we're doing. So that's, but this is sort of the Baal Shem Tov says. So listen to what the Rebbe adds to this. How are we doing on time? It's 9:15, yeah? Whatever it is. It's only one more paragraph. But it continues this beautiful thing. So far, it's interesting, yeah? So now this is the Rebbe talking. You see him turns to Baal Shem Tov from the end of the story of the Baal Shem Tov, of the quote of the Baal Shem Tov, that he says, that humility in the wrong place, is like the humility of Rav Zechariah, which caused the destruction of the Beis Mikdash. So the Rebbe says, move on, it's understood from this. When a person acts properly, in brackets, which is opposite of humility in the wrong place, meaning it's that you don't think that what you do doesn't make a difference. When you don't think that way, meaning you realize what you do doesn't make a difference, and this is the opposite of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. Meaning, you're building the Beis Hamikdash because of the Rebbe is like sort of analyzing the Baal Shem Tov's Torah. Because the Baal Shem Tov said, because when you have false humility, that causes the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. So therefore, if you have proper humility, you build the Beis Hamikdash. And this is what it says. Maamer, what it says in the Friedrich's Maamer in the beginning of the 10th chapter. And this is what it means to make for me a sanctuary. I should dwell within them that we discussed. We should make meaning for ourselves. Meaning, this is what it means that we are all making a sanctuary within us. That when we have proper humility, we build the Beis Hamikdash. That's the first thing. And let's discuss what does it mean, proper humility, or one way of discussing at least. Another idea in this, that even that in the beginning of the Baal Shem Tov's his Torah, he says that when through a person's davening and he's learning Torah, it affects a drawing down of godly energy into all the worlds, into the angels. Nevertheless, by the continuation of the Baal Shem Tov said, that when he says later on that it's not just that we're affecting the angels and all the world, it's also the king himself. They come sit there by us, going to kiss us, Melech God of Nera, Daiko. So it's understood by this, Shakavani here, La'atzmos HaMelech, to the essence of the king. Kifi shehu l'mayla mimelech al-am. The essence of the king, higher than he is a king over people. Meaning, he's saying, the fact that he brings the example of a king, the Rebbe's analyzing, what is my king? My God, God himself, the essence of God, not just the worlds, not just the angels, God himself. God's essential rulership. Kingship is sourced in God's essence. Which is even higher than the 9 spheres of Zah. I'll explain. Meaning through our avodah, through our work, through working on ourselves, we're causing, not just we're causing to be drawn down to all these levels, we're drawing down God's essence through doing Torah mitzvahs, and through making the right decisions and having a skafia, and making sure to go to bed on time, so we can get up on time, so we can have a better day and do the right things and make better choices. We're causing God's essence to be brought down. Not just different levels of God, just like we said in the beginning, being at home, being comfortable at home, we're causing God to be very comfortable here. This is also what the Baal Shem Tov says. If you would believe, meaning you would realize, what is Merev Curl? So Hashem happily with everything, and Merev Curl means like everything. It's like what it says, that it's better 1 hour in this world from the whole Chayil Haba. He's saying, let me just read a little bit and I'll discuss it. He's saying that in comparison to what neshama gets in Gan Eden, it's infinitely more what we achieve down here. The 1 hour of tshuva, because we cause God's essence to come down, whereas that's not what happens in Gan Eden. Okay, we'll finish this off. Basically, what is the Rebbe is sort of bringing out here, that we have to, that in continuation of the discussion before, what do we achieve by doing Torah mitzvahs? He's saying it's not just we achieve some mediocre level of godliness. Before we started this year, we thought it doesn't do anything. Then we thought it'd do something. He's saying you're causing God's essence. And what he's explaining, he's bringing out, what does that mean? It's not just different levels, it means God himself. That when we do Torah mitzvahs down here, we're affecting God to feel super comfortable, feel at home. And the more we do that, the more we make those choices, and the more we bring God down at home. Yeah.
Why do we contrast that with this?
It's constant with the curl of Kol Chayil Haba.
Like, why do we? Isn't Olam Haba like, oh, it's so great for the neshama, like, they're getting like rays of godliness.
That's exactly the point. That in Olam Haba, you're getting rays of godliness. Over here, what you're achieving by your Torah mitzvahs is God's essence, God himself, not just a ray. The advantage of this physical world is that it's a physical world. You don't see godliness. So godliness can be brought down more here, because you can handle it. It's like in this world we wear sunglasses, so you can see the sun because you got sunglasses on. But you don't. The disadvantage is that you don't see it. That's our complaint. Claim that you don't see all these effects we have. In the higher world, you see the effect. Because you can see the effect, they can't reveal as much. For then you wouldn't exist. The dichotomy of the way it works is that if God revealed himself, you would cease to exist. The whole purpose is that we're here, and we have a choice to make. We get to make choices. No one else gets to make a choice. The only things that make choices is us, human beings. Even in the physical world, nothing makes choices. Animals don't make choices. Choice is not eat or die. It's not a choice. Survival. We have choices above survival. Angels don't have choices. Everything else besides human beings and Yidden are able to make a choice. And the whole purpose is that choice that sort of we would wish we didn't have, so we could always make the right decision, is what makes us special. Makes this is the whole game, to choose. And when you make that right choice, you're causing godliness, God's essence. That's what he's showing here. It's not just God, it's God's essence. The king, as he is king, not just as he is king over people, as he's king just by himself. And you cause him to come down here. So what are we learning here? Or what's the takeaway? What's people taking away? Something to live with? Anyone want to have something to think about?
Just to remember the real effects of their actions.
Also, what does that mean about us? That what?
That we have, I'm saying that we're great people.
Yeah.
We're not having enough at it.
No, but that's what it is. You have the ability to change the world. Not just, and the Rebbe said it, but now you get to see it. It's not just the Baal Shem Tov said it. And this is what it is. And one of the biggest mistakes we do to ourselves is we play ourselves down. I'm not that good. And even more, he says, another thing we can analyze is that what does it mean? Because he goes, when a person acts opposite of hanava shabim limkim, of humility that's on the right place, meaning when we say ourselves, truly who are we? We're really God. We're a manifestation of godliness. We have a nefesh l'kis, which is truly part of God. And when we tap into that, when we start living that, we're living with a nefesh l'kis. That's for sure good. Seeing that, and that's who we essentially are. And our job throughout the day is figure out who's talking and get the nefesh l'kis to talk. And it doesn't mean we'll just sit there and not go to work and just dive in and learn all day. We'll still go to work and we'll still be in the world, but it'll be a totally different experience. And what I want people to come out of this, I have a friend. Now one time I met him, he was in shul for praying. He's putting himself down. And I used to do this as well. I thought it was Chassidus. And I'm sure, unfortunately, there's a lot of people walking around doing this. What we see here is clearly it's not. And I tried to ring about it with him, and whatever, we talked, became friends with him now. And one of the things a few months ago, he's he continued to argue, and he goes, oh, look at this, it says over here in Samach Vav. And I said to him, it doesn't say that. I said, show it to me inside. It's Baba Meises. I know it doesn't say it. And what happened when I started to understand Chassidus, the key to Chassidus, one of the ways is you have to read it a few times, not just once, skim it through, and have to read it and say, what does this mean? And so I said to him, it doesn't say it. I don't remember, we didn't in discussion, but here as a perfect example, Chassidus is not telling you nobody, or it's showing, you have to, the ability that we have to bring Mashiach is by realizing that we have infinite abilities, and the Rebbe, when he said the first Maamer Bas Lagani, if you read it and you learn it, it's very intense. The Rebbe talks about how we're the ones going to bring Mashiach. Everyone did all the work, bring it down to the sixth, and we're bringing down Shekhinah, God's essence down here. We have the ability to do it. We're not nobodies. And the problem is when we think of ourselves, we're nobody, and what we do doesn't really matter. So like he says, you just say, you sure as liber, you just go after your heart says. It doesn't matter. It's like when we're on a diet and trying to eat healthy, some people on these diets, but it's all they haven't changed. So it's 2 months, I'm not eating this, and then they go back, you're back to eating. It doesn't really matter. And I make a mistake, and I have this as well. You don't do something right. Oh, whatever. I messed up anyway, and just keep on going. But he's saying, no, that's the problem. Why? Because we think what we're doing doesn't really matter. And we're not important. And what we do is not important. And everything we do is important. And the matter is important. And the avodah, and what we can take, and what we can starting to live with on Yud Shevat. Yud Shevat is about taking the responsibility of leadership. And we're part of that. We're part of the leadership. He's the leader, but he instilled within us, wanted us to lead. And our job is to bring Mashiach. And one of the ways to do it is making God be able to be done here, which is Mashiach. And how do we do that? By recognizing what we do is important. And everything that we do is important. Going to bed on time is super important. Waking up on time is super important. Eating healthy is important. Being nice to people is important. Being nice to ourselves. Self-talk. And that's also what we talked about. How do we implement this is being careful what we say. If you come in the morning and say, I want to have a bad day, it's a really bad start to the day. But if you wake up and you say, it's going to be a good day, I'm here because God wants me to be here and I have things to do and I have a mission on this world. And my job is to bring Mashiach, me. And what am I doing to bring Mashiach? Not in a negative way. I didn't do anything to bring Mashiach. I failed today again. But more, I have this ability. If you think about it, how many shluchim didn't finish school, didn't get a GED, finish high school, and they have Chabad houses that are multi-million dollars thing, and they're speaking to presidents and doing all these things, and around the world and flying and doing all these things. I'm like, how do they do that? I think it's because they tapped into a lot of these things. They don't say to themselves, I'm not good enough because I didn't get a degree, so I'm not smart enough. I'm like, listen, God wants me here. I have things to do. I have this ability, of infinite ability, and let's go. Just start doing things.
I don't like other like groups in Yiddishkeit who do have this view that Hashem just created the world and it wouldn't really matter to him. He just
Yeah.
I mean, are there people like that? Because
there's a lot of people like that.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they haven't learned Chassidus. And it's not even Chassidus. It's Nisava Kadosh Baruch Hu Liyas Lidu. Hashem had desire to make a dwelling place over here is not Chassidus. It's Mechilta. It's a book that they all agree on. And this is the blessing Chassidus gave us. If it wasn't for Chassidus, I wouldn't be here. Probably most of us wouldn't be here. But Chassidus is not just to bring us here, it's bring us to the next stage where we have to take over the world, so to speak. I'm saying take over our own worlds, take control of our lives, and also take over the surroundings. And we should be the light. We said, we transform the darkness to light. That's us. We have to be the shining light in the place around us. And it could be the simplest way to do it. One of the many simple ways is just caring about other people, taking about other people. That's an inner Yisrael. But we have to realize what power we have, and honestly, our whole lives, if we just went trying to realize that, we'll get very far. There's a Chassid, Reuven Dunim. He was in the 50s. He was Israeli, and he was from, and then he became religious, and I think he did a lot of not good things. I don't know what he did, but he decided to come back, and he ended up going to yeshiva, and he worked on himself, and he came to the Rebbe. And there's a lot of interesting stories about him. One of the things he asked the Rebbe about doing tshuva for all that for the mistakes that he had done. He was an honest person. He was straight shooter. And the Rebbe said to him, he goes, serve Hashem happily, and later we'll talk about doing tshuva. And it says 25 years later, the Rebbe said a sicha, and he said that, I don't know if the Rebbe told him, but he basically said the Rebbe was telling me how to do tshuva now. So for 25 years, he sat there serving God happily, working on serving God happily. And so too with us. There's no place for us to put ourselves down. The job is to continue going and push yourself and realize that what we do can have an effect. And it is a butterfly effect. And there's so many, simple things. You help one person, that person can change their day and help other people and things like this, etc. It can go endless ways. We just have to appreciate that. And that's what the Rebbe was trying to teach us. About Shem Tov, and that's Chassidus brought, to realize you're important and what you can do matters and you can change the world. Yeah, and also, if we put it into shidduchim terms, because a lot of people works, that if you think about it, when you go into shidduchim, feeling that you're a nobody, it's like that. Like, I knew a friend of mine said, if the person likes you, it's like, why do you like me? Like, what's wrong with you that you like me? And then you wonder why you're not going to get married. It's you look at yourself as not worthy of being married. But we have to realize we are worthy. We're worthy individuals. We're special individuals. Maybe we have to figure out what that is. What's that specialness we have? But we have to appreciate it. Think about it in these terms. When you start to walk around with this positive attitude, I'm here, I'm important. Not like I'm important, I'm entitled. It's not about entitlement. It's about I'm important. I have something to give. There's a letter of the Rebbe. Maybe I'll stop with this. There's a letter with the Rebbe. There's a kid wrote to the Rebbe. I think it was like 19 years old, and I have it in my wall at my work. He wrote to the Rebbe about he had suicidal thoughts, and he was like, what do I want to be here for? So the Rebbe said to him, basically, he sent him like it was a pretty sharp letter, and he said, basically what you write is you grew up in a good environment, you had a lot of opportunities in life, and you started in a good school, and you got a lot of these opportunities. He goes, did you ever once think to yourself, what am I giving? Basically, there says to him, you've been taking your whole life. Life is about a give and take. You spent your time growing up taking from your parents and taking from the school. Now's your time to give back. What are you saying? I have nothing to do in my life. I'm a nobody. He never says there's plenty of ways you can give, social stuff, charity, whatever it is, marriage way to give. And we have to realize that we're so too. Being married is about giving. We have to realize that we have something that we can give. And this is what we're saying here. You realize who you are, what you do has an effect. What can I give? How can I be and implement something in society? I have someone that's like struggling, people I talk to, and someone's like struggling with life, trying to figure themselves out. So they keep on trying to do things, trying to do, go to this class and do this class, and they're not looking for answers, looking for someone to listen to them. But I feel like saying, instead of looking that more in yourself, look how can you give? And when you give, you for sure feel better, and you realize you're here. We have to realize that we're here for a purpose, something we can give, and we're important, and when we do matters, we should try to, and if we ever get down or we feel, try to figure out a way to give, way to help, anything. Could be just smiling at everyone. My wife, she used to do this. I don't know if she does it much now. She'd go on the subway, and she would try to find something in someone to compliment them on. That's such a nice scarf you're wearing. And people smile, and it makes such an impact. And say, what'd you do already? But we all like it, and it works. I go to shul now, I try very hard to say showers to everybody. It's such a simple thing. Now, everyone thinks I'm like this, like the rabbi of the shul. I just take a showers to you. When we start caring about other people and things, it changes everything. And I give everyone a bracha that we should appreciate. This is one little idea. This one Maamer. Look how long it is. It just goes. I've been learning 3 weeks. This is just one. There's two, and this is just one thing, and you can go forever. And just the 2 paragraphs we've learned, we just started thinking life totally different. So this is full of this. We just have to sit down. And in English, you don't have to go in Hebrew or Yiddish. In English, it's everywhere. Just read it, reread it, and soak it in, and say what it's telling me, and our lives will be infinitely different for the good. Give everyone a bracha, should have everything they need, and they should appreciate how important we all are. I don't have anything I want to share, add, say before we close up.